Hey, listeners, it's the sports edition of Open World Chat, as you can tell from our super sportsy music. I'm your host, John Odom. I'm here with Mark Card as usual. Mark,
Howdy,
how you
howdy.
doing?
I'm doing okay. How about you, John?
I'm good. We're going to have fun because it's March. It's March Madness time, and we've got a very special show planned. Mark, this is your idea. Why don't you go in and tell us what's happening and introduce our guest? We have a guest. How often does that happen?
Let's talk about my guest first. It's the inestimable Robert Heil. He's a lifetime friend. He's probably the most well-read person I know in science fiction. Uh, he's just an all-around great guy and knowledgeable human being. Welcome, Robert. We're glad to have you on with us.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, John. It's really great to be here. I've enjoyed the podcast and I'm really pleased to be a guest here today and excited to be doing a bracket that's something other than basketball.
It's a bracket, folks. That's right. You heard it. Bracketology.
Hey, so
Mark,
let's nerd out a little bit. I just recently read the odds of nailing the NCAA men's basketball bracket completely and not missing a game. It's 1.9, let's see, it's 1 to 9.2 quintillion.
what?
Yes, that's the odds of getting a perfect bracket.
No, it's been
Yep,
done, though.
yep, it's still 1 in 9.2 quintillion.
I'll tell you. These numbers that don't actually exist. I don't trust them.
Well, that's the part of the reason why people believe the elections are compromised because people understand very big numbers or very small numbers. Anyway, so I thought it would be fun for us to, instead of having a bracket for something sports related, having a bracket for something that's a bit more on topic for the podcast. So, what better way to do that than to look at kind of the ultimate bracket for science fiction movies?
Yeah, movies and TV we got in here. And just full disclosure, didn't want to build one on my own. Mark wouldn't want to build ones on his own. We needed it presented to us by random chance. So this particular bracket comes courtesy of Chat GPT. And I have to say, it did a pretty good job. So what we're going to do is go through each game and take a vote on who wins, which is going to really disappoint some of us who lose. But that's the way it goes with sports, right?
That's the way it goes with life.
That's right.
That's why brackets are good for almost anything. It's just a fun kind of rudimentary technology to figure out how to argue with each other.
Right on, right on. Okay, we won't be taking a lot of time on each one because we don't want to keep Robert all week. But
And we
uh,
got four brackets, each with eight films, right?
that's correct.
Yep.
And we've got it divided into four categories for each quadrant. There's cyberpunk and AI, space and exploration, aliens and horror, and blockbusters and franchises. So why don't we get started with the what we'll do is we'll go through an entire quadrant at a time because
Makes
that'll be
sense.
easier to keep track of. But we'll get started then with cyberpunk and AI, and let's get the discussion going here with our number one seed, The Matrix, versus our number eight seed, Dark City. Now, I assume you all have seen both of those.
Yep. Definitely have. This is a tough one. And the reason why it's tough for me is because without Dark City, there's probably not a Matrix. Just the aesthetic and I know weren't they released at the same time?
Well, they were pretty close, and that's why I think Matrix probably would have come along anyways, but they're probably, well, I was going to say cursing that they didn't get out first, but they were cursing all the way to the bank. So,
That's true. This is a tough one for me. The Matrix is so influential, but Dark City is such a good film, and
yeah.
it's sneaky good. Uh, you get caught up in the world, and you're immersed completely, and then you realize just how good this movie is, all the way from production design to the final moments of the movie. So this is tough for me. I think we're just going to have to look at influence in the genre, and I think I like Dark City a little better as a movie, but I think it's hard not to go with The Matrix.
What do you think, Robert? What are your
I
thoughts
kind of
on these
agree.
two?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think that Dark City is a little more thoughtful, a little more to chew on there.
Yep.
Um, and I think especially, but if you especially if you take the whole Matrix franchise, but just the first Matrix, I think it's got to win just on the influence, the visual aesthetic. So yeah, I agree with Mark on that.
I might, even though it's already won here, I might like Dark City a little better, but I got to agree with you guys. You kind of got to go with The Matrix on this one. So, winner here is the number one seed, The Matrix. No big shocker there. So now let's go on to the number four and the number five seeds, Ex Machina and Ghost in the Shell. We're
God.
getting a little anime action happening here. Robert, what are your thoughts on our two contestants?
I boo, 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 boo. Again, they're so similar, but I'm gonna go with Ex Machina. Um, I- but that's a tough one for me. And these are ones I haven't seen in a while, so I don't have a strong opinion on it. But my first gut reaction, which I'm gonna go with, is just Ex Machina.
Mm, well, I'll take second, and then Mark, you're going to have to break a tie
Oh
because I got
no.
to go with Ghost in the Shell. It was so unique. Ex Machina was a great movie, really well done. It was stuff we'd seen before that was similar, I think. I think Ghost in the Shell was so original,
That's
and it came out, it could only have been an anime. And it just had a powerful effect on me. And I don't know if I would say yeah, I liked it better. Why else would I be choosing it if I didn't like it better, right?
fair
So,
enough.
anyways, I'm going Ghost in the Shell. So we've got a tie. Mark, it's all you.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go again with influence. I'm also going to have to go again with originality.
Mhm.
I think Ex Machina has been told before. I think the big difference between Ex Machina and Ghost in the Shell is Ex Machina is a little bit more special effects driven. But I think
Mhm.
Ghost in the Shell wins here because it's like you said, John, it's unique. It's different. It's original. It comes out more philosophical than most other AI kind of movies. Most other AI kind of movies are, oh my God, this is a threat to everyone. And this really has to do a lot more with kind of the soul, the ghost in the machine, that kind of direction. So I'm gonna have to go with Ghost in the Shell.
Fair enough. All
Wow, I'm
right.
really surprised by that. And that's our first upset. The number five seed comes in over the number four seed there. Not a big upset, but an upset nevertheless. So now this next one is an interesting one. All right. We've got number three seed Black Mirror versus number six Westworld. And this, as I say, was generated by AI. So I'm just going to go with Westworld being the more recent Westworld and not Yul Brynner. Um,
Oh man, how can we diss the man in black like that? You might have a visit from a cyborg soon.
yeah, well. So what do you think, Mark? Where are you leaning?
Oh, I'm going with Westworld.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going with Westworld. Um, it's so different than the original. It's so much more philosophical than the original. And Black Mirror, I love it. It's a great show, but I just think Westworld takes it.
That's interesting because I'm going to go with Black Mirror. I think Westworld, I think it's a tough call if you're looking at Westworld's first season, but Westworld kind of lost its way, I
Yeah, I
think.
think that's probably true. That's
And
fair.
Black Mirror never has. It has kept up the quality and the demands of an anthology show like that are really tremendous. And so I'm going to go with Black Mirror on this, which means Robert, you are once again the
I
tiebreaker.
I've got a lot of fondness for Westworld. But in terms of just the anthology and keeping it original and keeping it solid, I got to go with Black Mirror.
All right, I'll take the L. That works for me.
All right. Mark that on my list here. Look at us. We're
Or
flying through,
or
flying.
or unmark it.
Right. Demark the list. All right. We're getting there. We're getting through the first round of our first bracket here. Now we're down to a really interesting, but I have a feeling I know where we're all going to go with this, but it's kind of a shame because in a real sense, I see why these two were put together, but it's a shame that they were because they're both so solid in very different ways. And that's number two seed Blade Runner versus the number seven seed Her. Didn't see that one coming, did you?
No, no, I wouldn't have put those together.
Yeah. Robert, I think you get to tell us your thoughts here
Okay,
first.
I'm gonna make a pitch that's gonna lose, but I'm going for it anyway. I thought Her was brilliant, and Blade Runner. Okay, you can't argue Blade Runner's classic. The timeliness of Her, I think puts it ahead for me. It speaks to what we're going to be moving into and are moving into and are there with AI agents really well. And so, yeah, yeah. I also think it's really interesting that Scarlett Johansson did two science fiction movies pretty close together. One in which she only speaks and you don't see her, and the other, Alien Skin, where you only see her and she basically has no lines. So I think that's an interesting. But so I'm
Oh,
going to say Her.
so her movies averaged out into just sort of speaking regular in each
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
This is a real tough one, and I think I mean it's surprisingly tough for me just because not that I think I mean I feel like there's a clear answer I'm going to give, and that's Blade Runner. But I don't think either of these movies deserve to lose. That's the problem. I think
Yeah,
they both deserve to win. And I think when you look at the uh, headline of this bracket here, the category, Cyberpunk and AI. Her is the most pure AI
mm,
movie in the list, and Blade Runner defined cyberpunk.
yeah.
So it's an interesting mix, but I feel like I have no choice to go with Blade Runner or I'm going to be haunted by something, by the ghost of cyberpunk. Mark, you're
This is
breaking
tough.
a tie.
This is really tough. First of all, I like Scarlett Johansson a lot, and I think a lot of people really kind of think they question her acting chops. I think Her shows that's not a questionable thing. Uh, she really shows off here. There are a lot of interesting social issues in this movie. There are a lot of interesting technological questions in this movie, but I have to go with Blade Runner. It's just the quintessential cyberpunk and AI movie. I mean, basically, it ticks all the boxes. It talks about what is sentient and what isn't. It speaks to uh, whether humans will eventually become, uh, if not obsolete, completely dependent on technology. It speaks to legal and criminal questions in sentient AI systems. So I love that movie, Her. I've watched it many times. I think it's timely. I think it's a great movie, but I just don't see how it upends Blade Runner.
Blade Runner it is. All right. We're down to our last four in the cyberpunk and AI quadrant of our bracket. So our first race here is number one seed The Matrix against number five seed Ghost in the Shell. Mark, I think you get the lead on this one. What's your choice?
It's Matrix.
I
It's
agree.
Matrix. It has to be Matrix. So influential in terms of the franchise. Um, uh, like I said, it's just one of these things that it's got to win here. It's got to win. It's just it can't. This is the University of Kentucky in the bracket. There's just no question that it belongs here, and it hits all the cylinders. This team is on fire.
Yeah, it sounds like we had agreement from you there, Robert, and you got agreement
Yeah.
from me. I hate to see Ghost in the Shell go, but there's no question.
I mean, all of the movie, all the films that, they deserve to make it to this bracket. So we're gonna be saying goodbye to good films at every step of the way.
Well, I
As you
might argue one
Well, okay, yeah,
exception,
okay.
but we'll
Okay,
get to
but
that
most
very
of them. Okay,
shortly.
most of them.
All right, so then we got number three seed Black Mirror and number two seed Blade Runner. I'm going to lead with this one, and I hate to see Black Mirror go. I hate to see Black Mirror go, but once again, I will be haunted by some sort of science fiction cyberpunk demons if I don't choose Blade Runner. So I'm going with Blade Runner. Robert, what do you think?
I agree. Yeah. I made the argument for her, but Blade Runner is such a great film, um, on all levels, and the whole improvised monologue about tears in the rain. It's just gets you
Oh,
every time.
that's right.
So yes, Blade Runner.
I forgot it was improvised. Right. Ooh,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So, Mark, you going to make it unanimous?
Oh, it has to be unanimous. I mean, this is how are you not going to do this? And then for the showdown in the bracket, I mean, you just have to do it this way.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have any choice. The teams are evenly matched. Uh, when you talk about the seeds, you've got the number one seed and the number two seed. And I'm sorry, there's no upset here. There's just no upset. This is not Miami of Ohio.
So that's it then.
Yep.
We're up to the last one in the Cyberpunk and AI quadrant, the number one seed, as you say, and the number two, The Matrix and Blade Runner. Robert, I think you get to lead us on. Oh, no, it's Mark's turn to start. Mark, what's it
Uh,
going to be?
Harrison Ford versus Keanu Reeves. There is no question. We're going to go with the role model for American masculinity for our generation. Sorry, I love Keanu Reeves. He's a great human being. This is a break. This is just his defining role. The movie is influential, but it's no Blade Runner.
Robert, I think even though it would be the way I've been doing this, my turn next, I am literally having to think about this. So this is like ordering from the menu when you come to the table and it's like, oh no, you go ahead. I'll figure it out by the time you get around to me. So you're next. What's your choice?
I'm also going to go with Blade Runner in terms of encapsulating the entire cyberpunk vibe visually. It was flawless. I think the visually it's unmatched. I mean, The Matrix was clever, but I think Blade Runner visually is just one step ahead. And the issues it brings up, and the fact that the ending can be as ambiguous as it was, or not, depending on which cut you saw. I got to go with Blade Runner too.
Depending. It's true. Um, yeah, I got to also. I mean, The Matrix is such a it, it, it has influenced, continues to influence generations, the quality, the perspective of generations. But Blade Runner is Blade Runner. What are you going to do?
Well, and the question is, for me, would The Matrix be The Matrix if it weren't for Blade Runner?
Yeah.
And I don't think so. I don't think The Matrix is going to be as influential as dramatic without the questions and especially as Robert says, the visuals presented in Blade Runner. I just think it's the clear winner.
All right. All right. So the Cyberpunk and AI quadrant has been won by the number two seed Blade Runner. We will now move on to the space and exploration quadrant, where our first battle has number one seed 2001 A Space Odyssey meeting number eight seed Ad Astra. And I will start with this one and say, I really didn't care for Ad Astra, and I barely remember it. I remember Brad Pitt,
Yeah,
and I remember a lot of like I just remember who's spending money on this. What the hell is he doing? He's going off because he's got daddy issues, and they give him a ship. I don't know.
yeah,
Sorry, no, not a contest for me. I don't know. Robert, what do you think?
yeah. I think we can keep moving on this one. Let's, yeah. 2001. It let the world know that science fiction movies could be taken seriously.
Yep,
Yeah,
Mark.
It's Stanley Kubrick
yeah.
versus I don't have any idea who directed Ad Astra.
I think it's somebody we've heard of, but I don't
I,
remember.
do I care? No.
All
It's
right,
Stanley Kubrick. I mean, look, uh,
let's keep rolling.
well,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
many
that's true.
how many A-list celebrities walked out of Ad Astra because it blew their mind? Zero. No, 2001.
Well, that would bring us, yeah, it's true. Enough said about that one. I can't believe that's, I don't know, AI threw that one in for kicks, I think, because our next ones get more complicated. We've got number four seed Arrival and number five seed Contact. Um, Mark, I think we start with you this time. What do you think?
I think this might be the more controversial view, but I'm going with Arrival. I
Hmm.
think given it's very abstract. And what I love about it is I'm kind of a language guy. I speak four or five of them. And the fact that this movie focuses on how the hell do we communicate with these people and then comes up with a really interesting, really clever, really thought-provoking relationship between language and time. Yeah, I don't think there's any question. Yes, Contact is based on a novel by Carl Sagan, and it's got super A-list stars in it, but I just think Arrival captures the confusion and awe, and I mean that in the uh, godlike awe sense, um, not in the kind of superficial, awesome way of thinking. The terrible but beautiful kind of awe. I loved Arrival. I had to watch it three or four times before I fully understood it. And I just think there's no question here. I like Contact, but I love Arrival.
Robert, what do you think?
Arrival is one of my favorite movies of all time. So this is an easy one for me. The Contact's a great film. I don't think it's aged quite as well. And in terms of, yeah, what's it going to be like if we ever make contact with an alien intelligence? It's not going to be, shooting lasers in space. It's going to be like, how do we even communicate anything? And yeah, just heartbreaking, beautiful Arrival, hands down.
Yeah, I enjoyed both these movies. I find both of them to be a bit overblown. I don't think they were both quite as good as everyone told me they were when I saw them. But I have so much respect for Arrival as one of the only true hard sci-fi movies that Hollywood has ever gotten out there and made. It's no contest for me. Arrival is the one as well, and we have a unanimous decision. Look at that. All right, very exciting. And here comes the match. Here comes the match that Mark and I are dreading because one of us is going to have to end up very, very sad. The
I think
match where the number three seed, The Expanse, takes on the number six seed, Firefly, which means that one of us is losing. I suspect, I don't know this for sure with Mark, but I suspect our favorite sci-fi television series of all time,
I think that's the whole reason I was invited on this episode was because of this matchup.
which gives me a hint as to
Yeah.
which one you're going to choose. Why don't you break the bad news to me, Robert?
Oh wow. Whew. This is a tough one. This is not an easy one for me. I'm 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 gonna but I have to choose, so I'm going to go with The Expanse.
Oh,
I love Firefly. It's an amazing show. It was cut down in its prime, so wrong. The scope of The Expanse, I mean, not it was yeah, there was a expansive, and that to me tips the scale on a very, very hard choice.
whoa. All right. I did not see that coming. Mark, did you see that coming?
Yes, actually, I did. I've known Robert a long time, and yeah, I can see it. Look, I love hard science fiction, and The Expanse comes close to anything, as close to anything except for one other series, which is not included in this bracket. And I bet you can guess what it is, John.
Battlestar.
Well, are we talking?
Hard
I mean,
science fiction series.
I would say a lot of Star Trek qualifies.
Nope.
I would say a lot of it does not.
Yeah, see, well, for me, Star Trek is more science fantasy than science fiction, but that's another story altogether.
Depends on the episode. Star Trek,
That's
well, someday we'll talk about when you get to the right point. You're watching Discovery now, where you get to some of the best hard sci-fi I've
yeah.
ever seen filmed. I don't think you're there yet, so we won't talk about that.
Oh,
But
I think I am already there. I'm in the last season.
another hint, it's about the language.
No,
But
no, I
anyway,
understand. So, uh, for me, the only other series which is better at hard sci-fi is the Three Body Problem, which you haven't seen.
which I haven't seen. Yeah.
But that so we can't really talk about that much. We talk about The Expanse versus Firefly. I got to go with Captain Tight Pants here. It's Firefly for sure. Nathan Fillion is the closest thing to old school Captain Kirk
Yep.
ever. But I hate to say this because William Shatner's turned into kind of a crank. Nathan Fillion is the best captain in science fiction. Period. End of sentence.
Oh, bold.
It's Firefly. Firefly wins.
Well, with the 2-1, then it is the expanse that is moving on.
That's okay. I understand. Y'all have you've turned against the brown coats, and there will be consequences.
That is so far the toughest one for me, though, I'll tell
Yeah.
you for sure. Um, Now, our number 2 seed is up against our number 7 seed. And this one, I have a very, very hard time with. I think I may have a harder time with this one than the last one. That's Interstellar at number 2 and Gravity at number 7. I really like both these movies. And you're talking hard sci-fi. Here you go. Here's some hard sci-fi for you.
Yep.
Gravity, I remember the conversation, is this sci-fi? But if you're going to define sci-fi as having being based on or speculative technology being an important part of it, scooting around in the little jetpacks and things around uh, space stations and things is not something we can do now. So it falls, I think, firmly in the sci-fi to me. Um, but I think just from scope, and scope is not necessarily enough by itself, but I think it pushes Interstellar over the top for me, even though I adored Gravity. I don't know. What do you think, Robert?
This is kind of a sentimental favorite for me, so I'm going to go with Gravity, actually. Um, Totally subjective. Saw it with my daughter. She loved it. We loved it. Kind of a bonding moment. So, with completely unfairly and completely subjectively, I'm going to weigh in. I'm going to be the old East German judge, and at the Olympics, and go with Gravity.
You know, open up the doors on both sides of the stadium so that the wind will blow through the
Right,
javelin of
exactly.
your choice there a little there.
Right.
All
Yeah.
right. All
Or
right,
better
Mark,
yet,
you're
have them.
breaking a tie again. Mark, you've been breaking a lot of ties, I think.
Oh, yeah, which is crazy because I'm not the authority here. Yep. We're going to have an upset here, and Interstellar is out. I like Gravity. And I do have a quibble with it, and it's a pretty big one, but I still like Gravity better. Um, it's the part of the movie where Sandra Bullock is exposed to space, and in flies George Clooney to save the day. I think
Yeah.
Sandra Bullock would have succumbed to the brutal reality of space in that moment, but I'm willing to overlook it. Uh, it is emotional. It's aside from that, it's pretty hard science. Uh, the only thing. So there's another controversy about this movie that I want to talk about, and that is, does Sandra Bullock survive?
I mean, yeah.
Well, unless she has a heart attack from the weightlessness when she stands up at the end.
Where is she?
I
Oh,
don't know.
did she survive after the landing?
Right.
Oh,
Oh,
you mean like did terrorists descend upon her or
No, is
something?
there any way to find her?
yeah, exactly. All GPS is down. Global communications is trashed.
Does she survive?
She's, yes, of course she does.
Well,
Moving on.
that's
Yes,
another
of
movie.
course she does.
Well, it's Sandra Bullock, so I think she's going to find a way. But this movie is look, there are science fiction movies, and there are science fiction movies where you watch on the last quarter inch of your seat. And from the get-go, that movie is fast-paced. It is rooted in real issues in space exploration. It shows the absolute brutality, the absolute lethality of space exploration. It is a terrific movie. I think, except for the very end, Interstellar is kind of emotionless.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so, love me some Christopher Nolan. I don't think he wins here. I think Gravity wins.
Well, that is an upset. Very exciting
Yep.
to have the number seven seed come through like that. We have dropped the number two seed. We finally have a true March Madness upset here. So that's very exciting. And it leaves us down to a couple interesting choices. The number one seed, 2001: A Space Odyssey, versus the number four seed, Arrival. Robert, I think this goes to you first.
I've got to go with 2001. Arrival is a great movie, but yeah, it's got to be 2001.
Mark, are you not going to go with 2001?
I don't see how I could do anything but go with 2001. It's Stanley Kubrick. Um, but here's the big reason why. The Arrival is a brilliant movie, but in 200 years, they're going to be talking about Space Odyssey.
Mm,
That's not true of Arrival.
Yep.
It's just not.
yeah.
Well, that leads us to number three, The Expanse, going against the Cinderella team, Gravity. I will lead this one, and I've got to go with my favorite sci-fi TV series of all time, The Expanse. Not even really a contest for me. Mark, what do you think?
Oh, no. Yeah, there's no question here. The Cinderella team that beat Interstellar, this is the end of its tournament. They're going to get on the bus. This is their last college basketball game they've ever played or they ever will play. This is the memory they're going to live with. And that's it. It's got to be the expanse. It's got to be the expanse. There's no question, even though you dirty turncoats went against Firefly.
Robert, I see you nodding. Is
Yeah,
that
that's unanimous. I agree. Um, yeah, yeah.
all right then? That brings us to the final showdown of the space and exploration quadrant. 2001: A Space Odyssey versus The Expanse. Robert, make the call.
Again, I got to go with 2001. Expanse is great, but in terms of just the cultural impact, the whole setup, 2001 drags a little bit when they're on the moon, but in terms of cultural impact and just great work of art, I got to go to 2001.
Mark, I think I can guess your choice in this, but why don't you share?
Oh, it has to be. It's Stanley Kubrick. I mean, it's
Still,
Stanley Kubrick. But having said that, boy, The Expanse is just it's hard. It's hard to argue. I mean, this is one of those ones where you go, oh well, they obviously could win it, but they're not going to. Sorry, it's got to be 2001. It's Stanley Kubrick.
Yep. Yep. No, I think we can move on from this one pretty easily and quickly. And let's move on to quadrant three, which is aliens and horror, where we have the number one seed, Alien, going against the number eight seed, Cloverfield. Mark, what do you
Yeah,
say?
well, I love Cloverfield. I think it's interesting. It's a Buffy Angel alum who's responsible for it. But it's Alien. Alien is the last horror film that made me walk out of the theater for a few minutes because I was overwhelmed by it. I mean, this is a defining film in science fiction horror. It just is. It is heart pounding. It is well, we talked about improvisation earlier with Blade Runner. Um, the cast was not told what was going to happen to John Hurt, so their reactions to the chest burster are all real.
yeah,
This movie terrified people.
yeah.
It's claustrophobic. Again, it goes back to the brutality and lethality of space. It has that whole 70s conspiracy theory going on with the corporate attempt to bring home a super weapon. It has what we've talked about as one of the most terrifying scenes in science fiction or any horror movie, and that is shockingly, Robert, we did not say it was the chestburster scene. We said it was the scene where Ash goes absolutely berserk. That terrified me as a kid.
Yeah, it
And
freaked me out too.
this is the alien robot that turns evil and then dies in a horrible cyborg body horror sequence. It's got to be Alien. I love Cloverfield. I think it's the mythology behind and the lore behind Cloverfield is incredible. It's an entire franchise. It goes through multiple dimensions, but it's not Alien.
Yeah.
Robert, sounds like you
Yeah,
agree. I heard a yep.
this one, Cloverfield was clever. The shaky cam thing was clever, but it's Alien. This is not a contest.
I agree. It's Alien. And before we move on, let me just mention something I didn't mention at the beginning, and that's that in this tournament, you will not see Star Trek or Star Wars because it's too easy for them to run away with it, and it's too easy just to end up with a Star Wars versus Star Trek. And how boring would that be?
Well,
So
that's it. We can do a whole podcast on that. We can do a
that's true.
whole.
We'll do
At,
that
at,
one
at
next.
point, at which point, just to be the spoiler, I'm going to throw in Battlestar Galactica.
Which one?
I'm going to throw in Galactica. If we're going to do a Star Trek versus, yeah, I'm gonna throw in Battlestar Galactica,
Well, we'll have
and
to
I
do
can get the
that.
beat down. I'll
I'll
get the
throw in the original Battlestar Galactica. How about that?
well. All right.
All right, Alien it is. And moving on to the battle between the number four seed, A Quiet Place, and the number five seed, Annihilation. I'm going to lead off with this and say to me, it is not even a contest. Annihilation is an extraordinary vision. It's unique. A Quiet Place was very cool. It was a great inspiration. I've seen things like it before, although never quite that. I mean, its conceit was truly cool, but Annihilation had a real vision to it that A Quiet Place didn't. So I say Annihilation. Robert, what do you say?
Yeah, I agree, and I know it has its fans. I honestly didn't care for a Quiet Place that much. It was a clever setup, but I don't know. I had trouble making the suspension of disbelief there, and so Annihilation.
Mark?
It has to be Annihilation, but the main problem I had with A Quiet Place is there is a giant problem with that movie. So in the scene where they go down and talk by the river because the aliens can't hear them over the sound of the rushing river, Why not just camp by the river?
That's true.
I mean, that's a big hole in that movie. Having said that, I really love how The Quiet Place came about. Um, you know, gosh, old guy syndrome. Can't think of his name. John Krasinski.
Yeah.
He came up with that idea, wrote the movie, directed it himself. And you got to say something for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
However, there's no question here. Annihilation's a better deal.
Yeah. Yeah. All right then. We'll move on to the number three seed and the number six seed, respectively, Predator and District 9. And oh, Mark, I think we start with you here, but this one stings for me. What have you got?
It's District 9. I don't think there's any question. Uh, Predator is more of an action movie than it is a science fiction movie. It's just an action movie with a thin layer of sci-fi dropped on top of it. District 9 is a clear vision. He knows what he wants to do. It shows a much better reflection of society, which is one of my things that I love about science fiction. Um, it has more interesting characterization. Uh, it's interesting to me. There's a part of this movie that really kind of is interesting to me, I don't know. The alien is pretty cruel to the guy who's transforming into an alien. He says, "Wait here, I'll come back." Why didn't he just take him with him? But anyway, that's a minor thing. I like District 9 a lot better. Neil Blomkamp, that thing comes out and nobody was expecting it. It's an interesting movie that has a clear idea of what it wants to say. It's thoughtful. Predator, man, it's just a alien hunter kind of movie. I think it's more an action movie than anything else.
Yeah, see, District 9 in a lot of measurable ways, but not all of them. But a lot of measurable ways is a better movie, but Predator is iconic. That makes it tough for me, so tough. I'm going to literally, I have it right here. I'm going to flip a coin. So,
Okay.
Robert, you get to go first, and then I will flip the coin.
Um, well, I think I may save you from having to flip because although Predator gets an honorable mention for most number of future governors in a science fiction film, I am going to go with District 9 too. Yeah, yeah, it was just a better movie.
Well, I
Pred-
still have to make a choice, so I'm
Fair
going to
enough.
flip. Heads is Predator, tails is District 9. And I pull up tails. So it's unanimous.
It's unanimous.
All right. Sorry, Predator. Away you go. This next one.
And I have to say,
Oh, the
the
number
reason why
two
Predator
seed.
has to lose here is it's iconic, sure, but it's an iconic action movie.
Yeah. Okay,
Well,
remember
moving
earlier when
on
I
to
said,
number two seed, Thing versus number seven seed, Signs.
remember earlier when I said
Robert, why don't
all,
you?
all, yeah, all of the movies on this list are good. Yeah, this was the exception that proves the rule.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's the thing. I mean, John Carpenter, it's a masterpiece. Yeah, this, yeah, the thing that signs whatever. Yeah, the real effects, the puppetry, the real effects in the thing. Again, the iconic ending, so many great lines. Kurt Russell is just brilliant. Yeah, yeah, it's yeah.
Well, much as I appreciate the truly thoughtful, well-considered approach in Signs of having aliens that are allergic to water going to a planet that is two-thirds water and the air is full of it. I respect such a deeply considered intellectual approach. I'm still going to have to go with the thing. Mark, what do you say?
Both these movies are interesting in that uh, there's something in them that completely spoils them. The thing is spoiled by the very first scene if you speak Norwegian.
What do
The
they
very
say?
first scene where the dog is chasing the guy is yelling, "Don't go in there! Don't go in there! There's an alien inside!" And so, yeah, that movie gets spoiled from the very first moment if you speak Norwegian. Now, of course, I don't speak Norwegian, but it's kind of funny that that's true. Come
Well, that
on,
kind
this
of
is the
spoiled.
thing. But here's the real thing, pun not intended. It's a remake.
Oh yeah,
Of a terrible movie.
Yes, of a historically bad movie, and
Yeah.
then that just makes it even more interesting.
I'm going to
It's Kurt
disagree with
Russell,
historically bad, but I do think it's not the best movie. No.
but it's got Wyatt Earp in it. It's got James Arness in it. The original
Hmm.
does. But yeah, I mean, what do you not say about The Thing? It's a genius movie. Uh, you'll appreciate this, Robert. But any movie that could make Jim Wiley step down from his ivory tower, which The Thing did, is got to be the winner here.
A high school friend of ours who was notably scholastic and waved his hand at and dismissively kind of anything that smacked of pop culture.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely transfixed by this movie.
Yeah.
So anything that wasn't originally written in Latin or Greek, he dismissed completely. But he loved this movie. So yeah, it's got to be The Thing. I mean, how do that's
Gotta be
like
the
choosing
thing.
Blade Runner over anything at the same time. And what's interesting is both movies released the same year.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, 82 was a banner year for science fiction.
Mm. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That was Wrath of Khan year too, wasn't it?
And E.T.
And ET,
No,
right?
no, no, no. E.T. was 81.
Okay. Well, we've got now the number one seed for the aliens and horror quadrant and the number five seed, Alien and Annihilation. Mark, why don't you lead us off? I have
A-
strong feelings on this one.
Alien. And again, it goes back to my rule: without Alien, there's no Annihilation.
Mm, I don't know, Robert, what do you think?
I got to go with Alien too. I also that's the first movie I can remember seeing where they introduced the idea that before they pick up the xenomorph, but like jobs in space might be boring.
Yes.
You know, it's just like you might just be on this massive ship, just like making sure the stuff doesn't leak and kind of things keep going. And that there's a lot of tedium in maintaining a massive craft like that. But yeah, Alien, it's yeah, brilliant movie.
Yeah, I'm going to be controversial and just say that I think Annihilation is every bit as good a movie as Alien. I really do. However, I have to go with Alien. Alien is a better movie by a little bit, even though I think they're basically on the same strata by a little bit, by a little bit. So maybe not every bit as good as it, but almost every bit as good are the two. But Alien is the most important sci-fi horror since Frankenstein.
Yeah.
It just is. So gotta go with Alien. All right. Now we have an interesting one also. Number six seed District 9 versus number two seed The Thing. Um, I love District 9. I adore District 9, but this one's easy for me. I'm going with The Thing. I really am. The Thing I can watch over and over again. District 9 I cannot. That metric alone is a doozy. I won't say it's the ultimate, but it's a doozy. Um, but The Thing is it's more important, and I think it's better. It's the technical work behind it is the practical effects, as you say, Robert, are just incredible. So I say The Thing. Mark, what do you say?
It has to be The Thing. I love District 9. I love Neil Blomkamp. I don't think he got a shot at a sequel to this movie. I don't think he's ever going to get a shot at a sequel to this movie. But I mean, how do you deal with the influence of The Thing? First of all, it's John Carpenter's best movie by far, and he's got some good movies, but nothing on this quality level.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And before I go to you, Robert, I just want to say I think District 9 would be ill served with a sequel.
Mm,
In my opinion, I think it ends right where it should end, But Robert, anyways, what's your choice? District 9 or The Thing?
The Thing. Yeah, again, District 9, great movie, but The Thing is next level.
Next level. It's true. It's a level of its own. Which brings us to the
Oof.
final battle once
Oh,
again between the number one seed and the number two seed, Alien and The Thing. Robert, give us your choice.
um, okay, this is a tough one. I am ultimately going to go with Alien. And what tips it for me just a little bit is also one of the first movies I can remember seeing, science fiction movies, where the protagonist is a strong woman who doesn't need to be rescued. I think in the later we had the Sarah Connors and other examples of that, but I think Ripley is just such a great character, and so yeah, I'm gonna go with Alien.
Mark, what do you think?
I think there are arguments to be made for both of these movies.
I agree.
Um, for me, it comes down to what I talked about before. In Alien, there's no funny parts to Alien. It's terrifying. Uh, it's terrifying because of the tagline, "In space, no one can hear you scream." It's terrifying because of the visuals. Uh, so Alien was the first, I mean, was the last horror movie where I was genuinely scared. The Thing is the first horror movie. That's not really true, but it's one of the horror movies where I laughed a lot. As suspenseful it is, there are some very funny moments in that movie, and it is revolutionary. The Thing is one of the best science fiction or horror movies ever made, but it doesn't beat Alien. However, let's pit the xenomorph against the Thing. Who wins? Which alien wins in a head-to-head combat?
The Thing.
The Thing wins. Period.
Yeah.
End of sentence. The Thing wins against the xenomorph because the xenomorph might not know it's an enemy.
Yeah.
But anyway, it doesn't make any difference because Alien beats the Thing.
And that's going to be unanimous, if for no other reason than I remember when The Thing came out, and I thought this movie doesn't exist without Alien. In fact, I think it's another studio going to John Carpenter and saying, "Look, Alien made us a lot of money. Make us something that'll that'll have the same effect. Some sort of gross, creepy, lurking, where is it creature? I don't know." So I don't think that you have The Thing without Alien. So Alien wins. So far, we have had two number one seeds and one number two seed come out on top. So,
So kind of just like the NCAA tournament.
but we are down to the final quadrant before our final four, and that's blockbusters and franchises. So this one takes us a little different direction than the others, because these themes could be anything. It's just the big bombastic Hollywood experience that we're gauging and we're measuring. Um, well, along with quality, of course. Quality is going to tip the scales, I'm sure, wherever we go. So let's start with the first contest. Once again, number one is Jurassic Park against number eight, Avatar. And I find it a little bit bizarre that you've got the number one. Well, I'm not sure where. No, the number one franchise of all time, unless you count all of Marvel's together.
Boo.
Avatar at number eight. It's a very strange choice from our Chat GPT host here, to put Avatar at number eight. Oh, not host, but close enough. Benefactor, let's say, our Chat GPT benefactor.
Overlord.
So,
Overlord is better. Yeah.
Overlord. Yeah, right. We got to get in good with it while we can. Overlord. So who is going? I think, Robert, I think it's your turn to go first. What do you think, Jurassic Park or Avatar?
Um, so I have not seen the Avatar sequels.
Me.
Uh, so again, kind of using the rubric that Mark used earlier, I think in 100 years, people will be talking about a Jurassic Park, and Avatar is going to be a footnote. So I think it's a passion project. I think it's a beautiful film, but story-wise, I don't know.
It's it's Fern Gully.
Yep, it
Yeah,
is.
so Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Mark, it sounds like you're there too. And
Yeah, I'm definitely there.
yeah.
I think this is an overrated film. Uh, we're going to talk about the relationship between James Cameron and story and special effects, both in the positive and the negative way in this little part of our bracket, because Avatar shows James Cameron's main role in filmmaking in 100 years. They're going to talk about his uh, 3D and CGI advances. That's the way he's going to be remembered. He will not be remembered generally for story originality, characterization, plot. He's the tech guy that people are going to go, "Oh my God, his technological advances were incredible." But that's where the conversation ends with James Cameron,
Mhm.
except for what we're going to talk about later. So this is Jurassic Park. It's based on a blockbuster novel. Um, it hits all the boxes for a giant Spielberg science fiction epic. As a footnote here, I will say that the fact that our benevolent overlord ChatGPT left out ET here in this bracket,
It's true. Oh my
that's a
God.
problem.
Whoa. Didn't even occur to me. You're right. Damn.
ET is not here and it deserves to be here.
Huh.
So does Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Well, I'm going to go with Jurassic Park 2, which is a weird choice, I feel like, because by every thing that's important to me that I could list, I mean, it is a unique vision. It wasn't based on a novel. Not, I would lean towards unique visions for the medium. I appreciate its message. It was very simplistic, but I like what it had to say. I appreciate its innovation. I think, the special effects were extraordinary. And yet, I enjoy Jurassic Park more. So, Jurassic Park for me, number one,
Here we go.
winning again. Which brings us to, I'd be interested to hear what you all say about this one. Number 4 seed Back to the Future versus number 5 seed Mad Max Fury Road. And I guess I'm going to start this one out now. And I got to go with Fury Road. Back to the Future is iconic. It's great. It's brilliant. It stands up, even with all the dated references. And that it's so fixed in its era. It's all about its era. But I just loved Mad Max Fury Road so much. I think it was brilliant. I think it's the exception that proves the rule about plot. It had no plot. It was a car chase for 70% of the movie, but it had such passion behind it. It was so well done, well acted, and there's just something about it that's painful to watch. This dystopian future hurts. I mean, I don't know. There's a line I'm trying to think of that I can't think of right now that sums up the movie for me. You all might know it. I don't know, but it's just leaving my mind. Something about men killed the world or something like that. That just, oh God, it hurt. So, anyways, I'll shut up now. But Mark, what do you think? Back to the Future or Fury Road?
Well, I think the better movie is Mad Max Road Warrior. I think without Mad Max Road Warrior, there is no Mad Max Fury Road,
Well, of
despite the
course not. Shit.
despite the fact that this really punches the ticket for strong female lead. Again, though, wouldn't have had her without Alien.
Mhm.
So uh, it's Ripley all the way. And I love Charlize Theron. I think she's a vastly underrated actress. I think people are dazzled by her beauty and don't look at just how good an actress she is. But it's Back to the Future. It
Mm,
was it's just the science fiction again. Well, this is the exception that proves the rule. This is just kind of a goofy teen comedy, but it has science fiction laid over it. But it succeeds in this case. It's definitional. It's not your typical science fiction. It's filled with humor. It's got iconic performance from Michael J. Fox and groundbreaking special effects with Robert Zemeckis.
yep.
So I think you look at the legacy of these movies and the impact. Back to the Future wins.
Wow. So, Robert, you are a tiebreaker. We've had so few ties that need to be broken here. This has been such a consensus episode, but you are the tiebreaker. Which one is it?
I love movies that are very clear about what they're setting out to do and then execute that well. And Mad Max Fury Road does that perfectly. And so Back to the Future was cute. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. But in terms and you know, spawned of the whole franchise. But Mad Max Fury Road is, as far as it's almost a flawless piece of filmmaking, as far as I'm concerned.
Another minor upset there where the number five seed comes in over the number four seed. Not that much of an upset, though. But
No, not really.
Mark, I think you've been shut out twice here now.
That's okay.
Um,
Like I
that's
said, I'm not the authority here.
This next one I find very strange because our number three seed is Inception. I would have put that in a completely different location, but I also would not have put it under blockbusters and franchises. It did
Yeah.
quite well, but I don't know that you'd call it a blockbuster, and it's certainly not a franchise, but it is number three, Inception, versus number six, RoboCop. Robert, here you go. You've got a choice to make between two very, very different movies that are iconic in their own ways. Is this a tough one for you, or is it a slam dunk?
It's not too hard for me. The creativity of Inception and the nesting of the dreams. RoboCop was good for its time. I don't think it has aged as well. I think Inception was just a very clever idea, very well executed. So for me, it's definitely Inception.
Mark, what do you think?
Well, there's no question it's Inception. More interesting movie, more well conceived. Uh, 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 you don't make that movie without Christopher Nolan. But I have a problem with Inception that I really hate. And here's what it is. All right, everybody, this is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to work. This is what can go wrong. 15 minutes later. All right, everybody, this is how what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. This is what can go wrong. Another 15 minutes later. All right, everybody, this is show don't tell. And yes, it's complicated, but the thing is, give your audience space to understand it. That's a big problem for me with this movie. It's a very big problem with me for this movie because I don't think it's that confusing what they're trying to do. Dream inside a dream, play inside a play. Shakespeare did this, 400 years ago.
Mhm.
Um, but there's no question, Inception's a better movie than RoboCop. RoboCop is a fun movie. RoboCop is, again, an action movie with a science fiction veneer. And there are a lot of movies like this in the 80s, but I don't think this one succeeds the way Inception succeeds, even though let's talk about how we're going to do this. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. This is what could go wrong. Stop.
This is twice you've made me feel like you draw a distinction between sci-fi movies and action movies, and there's certainly action sci-fi movies or
No,
sci-fi
no, I
action.
agree. But the question is, what's the more important element of that movie? With
Mhm.
Predator, it's an action movie. It's an action movie. That's what Predator is. And they went, oh, let's make it with an alien against some combat soldiers. Okay. But it's still, it's that's an action movie. Action movie first, veneer of sci-fi.
You know, I'm going to go with Inception too because I think the originality of it is extraordinary. And I think it's a unique movie. I think it was very well executed. Um, yeah, I think, the amount of exposition is probably a bit much, but that could have come from test audiences for when we shot the movie.
That's true.
But RoboCop, I want to defend RoboCop here. I think RoboCop is a fantastic movie. I think it's fantastic satire. I think it was brilliant in its looking forward to things such as the privatizing of the police force. I think its whole approach to corporatism was spot on. And I think it managed to do all this in a way that made its point, but was also very light. And by God, if it didn't have some actual emotion in it, not a ton, but enough there that you notice. So I love RoboCop, and it breaks my heart to vote against it, but I'm going with Inception too. And brings us to our number two seed, Terminator 2 Judgment Day versus Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise. I'm going to take this one first, and I'm going to go with Terminator 2. I have a hard time imagining not going with Terminator 2. Terminator 2 showed what you could do with with a big high end, as you say, action movie with great special effects, a completely different movie than Terminator 1 that came before it, which is I think also an interesting creative choice. But I was so surprised by the emotionality of Terminator 2. Looking back, it was kind of in some ways kind of clumsy, but at the time, you're going to see a sequel to Terminator. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see the emotionality coming, and it got me and it worked. So I say Terminator 2. Mark, what do you say?
It's Terminator 2. I love Edge of Tomorrow. I think it's a great movie. I think it handles time problems even better than Terminator 2 does because the big flaw for Terminator 2 for me is as the T-800 descends into the molten lava, uh, John Connor should wink out.
Mm.
He
No,
should go away.
Yeah, by their logic, yeah.
Yeah, so it's logically inconsistent. I love Emily Blunt as the utter pure badass.
Oh, I
She
wish
is
she got more work. I love her.
she is Ripley's great great granddaughter, and she kills in this movie. Nobody would have considered her to be an action hero. I think she's amazing. I love the original source material. All you need is kill for Edge of Tomorrow. It is a brilliant original piece of work, but it's not Terminator 2. And
no.
besides, we've done an episode on movies, music. Terminator 2's movie music, its score defines that movie. Now, this is the one movie I like with James Cameron where he gets technical stuff and story right.
Yeah.
This is his masterpiece. It's not Titanic, it's not Avatar. This is his best movie ever, and it will remain his best movie for his entire career. This is brilliant filmmaking.
Robert?
Yeah, I one thing I always enjoy is when, and this is true for Terminator 2 and Aliens 2, is when they do a sequel and it's not just a remake.
Right.
And Terminator 2 is a perfect example of like Sarah Connor went through some heavy shit and it impacted her. And and that character changed. That character had an arc between the movies that made sense and was compelling. And it's just fantastic.
Okay, folks, we're powerfully close to the end. We've been running long, but we always do. But we'll make this happen here because we're down to the last four of blockbusters and franchises. We have Jurassic Park versus Mad Max Fury Road. Robert, set the pace for us. Which one do we lead with?
Mad Max Fury Road, again, set out to do something, did it perfectly.
Mark?
I don't think you can leave Steven Spielberg out of this conversation, and that would do this here. So I have to go with Jurassic Park. Both movies are great, but you have to look at influence.
Well, I like to do those things that can't be done. And as you say, you can't leave out Steven Spielberg, but I'm going to do what can't be done. And I'm going to leave out Steven Spielberg. I'm
Well,
going with Mad Max
who's
Fury Road.
surprised uh, after your betrayal of the brown coats? No one's surprised at this, John. No one.
I just like Mad Max Fury Road so much. I just did.
Uh-huh.
It just sucks me in. Jurassic Park, I've seen it. I don't need to see it again. Fury Road, I can watch over and over again.
Oh, have you seen the black and chrome edition too? In black and
No.
white? Oh, it's worth seeing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you purple bellies just need to save your breath.
Okay.
All right, Inception, Terminator 2. Mark, which
Well,
one?
let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to explain why Terminator 2 Judgment Day is a better movie than Inception. Just to make sure you know what I'm going to do, Terminator 2 is a better movie than Inception. Now, just make sure you understand this. Just going to tell you what I'm going to do here. Terminator 2 is a better movie than Inception. I don't care that it's Christopher Nolan. Evidently the messiah of filmmaking these days. Terminator 2 is a better movie, and this is coming from somebody who doesn't think James Cameron is as good as people think he is.
Yeah, tend to agree with you on that, by the way. But I am going to also go with Terminator 2. Um, I sort of hate doing that because I don't just love Inception. There's ways I have a lot of respect for it that I don't have a lot of respect for other movies. But Terminator 2, more influential, obviously. Inception has not been an influential movie. But yeah, the surprise emotionality of it, though, really made it for a powerful first viewing experience. I think I may have even mentioned it on our first viewing experiences episode.
You did.
But I'm
Yeah.
going with Terminator 2. Robert, what do you think?
3 out of 3. I agree.
Yeah, had a feeling.
Yeah.
All right, which brings us to the final battle under blockbusters and franchises before the final four. And that is number five, Fury Road versus number two, Terminator 2. I'm going to start, and I am going for blasphemy. I'm going Fury Road. I loved that movie that much. I'm going for Fury Road. I may not feel that way in 5 minutes. But right this moment, and maybe it's just because I want to be contrarian, I'm going Fury Road. Robert, what do you think?
Mm, mm. This is a tough one. Oh, I think I gotta go with Terminator 2.
Terminator
I
2.
like Mad Max Fury Road personally better, but so I'm not being consistent in my judgment calls here. I recognize that, but Sarah Connor in this movie is just such a great character.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, it's and the cultural impact too. And just like if you can't leave off Spielberg, I don't think you can cut out James Cameron, like him or not.
Mark, do I need to ask?
No, in 100 years they'll be talking about Terminator 2. They will not be talking about Mad Max. It's a great movie. It's a great movie. It's one of my favorites, but it's not Terminator.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that means we are down to the final four.
All right.
We have two one seeds and two two seeds making it to the final four. No upsets, no Cinderella teams. So let's see who our final contest is going to be between by first putting number two from the Cyberpunk and AI bracket, Blade Runner, against 2001 A Space Odyssey. And oh, who gets to go first now? I don't even remember. Mark, I think it's you. Which one?
It's Stanley Kubrick. It's got to be 2001. It's the most original, most interesting movie there is between these two. I love Blade Runner. I have watched that movie a million times. I'm a contrarian. I like the original theatrical cut the best. I think we've talked about this. It serves the material it's based from, film noir, much better. Um, but it's not going to hold up against Space Odyssey. Space Odyssey is culturally defining.
Yep.
And,
Abs-
both of these movies are in the American Film Institute top 100 science fiction movies, but Space Odyssey's at the top.
Robert, what do you say to that?
Yeah, I gotta agree. And if nothing else, I think a lot of these movies never would have been made if 2001 hadn't been made. And its willingness to be hard science through a big chunk and then just jump off the deep end is a brilliant creative choice.
Like a
Uh,
NASA scientist took some LSD.
yeah. So yeah, 2001.
Yeah, no choice. No choice. Easy one. Hate to see Blade Runner go. Um, I actually think there may be a couple in some of the other brackets that disappeared that I might like better than Blade Runner, but I still hate to see it go. I really like it. It's a great movie. It is a defining movie, as I say, for cyberpunk, but 2001 is 2001. What else can you say? So that leaves us with Alien versus Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Robert, I think it's you. What is it, buddy?
I have to go with Alien. Terminator 2 is a great film, great, but in terms of like hard science, in terms of like definitive science fiction films, execution, visuals, cultural impact, all of the above. Yeah, Alien.
Alien. I am going to agree, even though I am going to say that there are some ways, there are a few ways, maybe just a couple ways, that I think Terminator 2 is a better movie. I'm going to say that. It's going to get me in trouble, but I'm going to say it. But as I say, Alien, I stand by the most influential sci-fi horror since Frankenstein, and you can't ignore that. So I say Alien.
Yeah.
Mark?
Yeah, for me, this is a battle of the strong female characters. And without Ripley, there is no Sarah Connor. That's the end of the argument for me.
Yep, believe it or not.
See what you did there.
Yes, you do. All right. This is it, folks. This is the moment. We have a moment between two quadrants number one seeds, and they are Alien on the one side, 2001: A Space Odyssey on the other. It's my turn to go first, I think, but that just seems wrong. I got to let one of you guys lead in, and I'm flipping a coin. Robert, your heads, Mark, your tails. And it's heads. So the guest gets the first call here. Alien versus 2001. What you got?
Oh, I think for all the reasons that have brought it so far, it's maybe the easier choice, but I am going to go 2001. Um, no, no, last minute switch here. I am going to go Alien.
You
I'm going to go
are.
Alien. Um, just because, yes, if Alien achieved something, it's because it was standing on the shoulders of masters, and 2001 was one of those. But it brought a modern sensibility, mm, there was the mixing of genres. It wasn't just science fiction, it was science fiction and horror. The everyday reality of what the grunting of making a spacecraft work could be like, strong female character, the great practical effects. I'm gonna go with Alien. I know, blasphemy. It's tough. It's a coin, yeah.
Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, I can't be a contrarian here. I have to go with the classic. It's
Fair
it's
enough.
Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
You can leave it to me, huh?
Yep.
Well,
Yes, yes.
the
You,
lack
you,
of
you
any
get you get to
female
choose to be a
characters in 2001 hurts it a lot. But the fact remains, if I'm going to be true to myself, 2001 is one of my favorite movies of all time, and Alien is not.
Yeah.
So I have to go with 2001: A Space Odyssey, our March Madness winner,
Mhm.
2026. Not necessarily a shocker. And we'll make sure that next year's the number one winner is not included so we can mix it up. And so there we go. What do you guys think? Good.
University of Kentucky wins again.
Yeah, it's hard.
Not this year, buddy. Have you been watching basketball?
Yeah, I don't watch basketball. I'm just
Yeah.
2001's always going to be the benchmark against which everything else is measured.
yeah.
It,
Yeah.
this has been great. I have enjoyed this, and I could do this all day, talk about any of these matchups.
Well, we
Thank you
just
so
about
much.
did.
Yeah, pretty much.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Bye, Robert. Thanks.
Absolutely. I do have to scoot though. So, John, Mark, thank you very much.
Oh, our
Appreciate it.
pleasure. And Mark, I guess you and I are good to go too
Yeah, I think so. I want to talk to you a little bit about something after we stop recording.
after we stop recording. It is. Therefore, it is time to stop recording. Thanks, folks, for listening. This was a lot of fun for us. I hope it was as much fun for you.
And we'll do it next year too, I think. I think that's a great idea.
Oh, it's a thing now. Better believe it. It's a thing. All right. Till next time, all. Bye.
Bye.